What up, everybody? Good morning and a happy Tuesday coming at you. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. Stream it up over there. You got your Google and Alexa home devices, your smart speakers, that app. Also up and rolling this morning on YouTube and Facebook. But hopefully, you're all off to a fantastic start here this morning. What do we got on a good old game plan for us? We're gonna touch a little bit of everything. We're gonna touch on a lot of different stuff here this morning. We've got RJ Cardinal who will be joining us a couple hours from now. We'll talk some Badgers with him, getting set for that Badger Oregon game. But also we got hoops. We've got the game against Arizona coming up at the back end of this week. We got volleyball and hockey to catch up on. So everything Badgers with Mr. RJ coming up at about 8:25 here this morning. We've got Bucks chat. Bucks are going to be back in action tonight, taking on the Toronto Raptors, who also have just 2 wins on the season here. But Damian Lillard will not be playing in tonight's game. He is in concussion protocol for the Milwaukee Bucks. So no Dame tonight. Bucks are also making some news, or maybe a little bit of getting mentioned quite a bit in the trade rumors and trade circles out there. Multiple reports have the Bucks. Brian Windhorst was one of the first ones out there, ESPN, saying that the Bucks have been calling a bunch of teams across the league looking to make some moves, making trade calls to help bolster the roster for Giannis and Damian Lillard. Not quite sure who they have called, who maybe they have, uh, kind of eyed in particular, if there is anybody in particular that they've thrown out there. But according to Brian Windhorst, the Bucks are, quote, eyeing a big trade to help them be competitive the rest of the way. The speculation is true. The Bucks are indeed starting to canvass a league for a trade, league executives told ESPN.com. But no, not that trade. Talking about Giannis. The concept of Giannis reaching the trade market is ripe for rumors and trade machines out there, but it's not a reality as of now for Giannis or the Bucks. Sources said teams have let the Bucks know in recent months they would take an offer for the Greek Freak if that day ever comes. But those are incoming calls, not outgoing calls, and it's likely to remain that way. So, if Bucks fans, if you could make a move to acquire, let's just keep it generic, a certain position, unless you know of a player or, realistic player. Okay. Unless you know of a realistic player. Otherwise, we'll just keep it in the general sense of a position. What do you think is the biggest position of need for this Bucks team right now? Is it an athletic big man? Is it, somebody that can play inside outside? We know Brook Lopez. I mean, we know he can shoot from the outside. I think the biggest concern and the biggest question though is play defense out on the perimeter, which he struggles with a little bit. I was reading some, because it's 2024, everybody's got a blog and such, and I was reading some the other day about some trade ideas and packages, and quite a few of them involve Bobby Portis, and some people thinking the Bucks should just go younger at their big man position overall, and sending both those guys, and whether it's like a 3-team deal or such. So I know Bobby Portis is a fan favorite and such, but if you could get younger and more athletic from the big man spot, would you be willing to move on from a guy that many Bucks fans have really embraced the last few years? That's Bobby Portis. So curious to hear from you, Bucks fans. Hit me up with some text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or hit me up on the X/Twitter at DANKSPR, Facebook.com slash Casper Sports, or on the video streams out there too. So, Hoops Chats this morning. I will even throw some baseball chat in here. The Brewers continue to get honored, mentioned with some awards. Yesterday, it was revealed, to no surprise probably, that Pat Murphy was named as a finalist for the National League Manager of the Year, and Jackson Chourio was mentioned as a finalist for the National League Rookie of the Year. So again, I don't think they're too big of a surprise. Both Pat Murphy and Jackson being named as finalists for their categories over there. Now we won't know who wins until next week. That's, usually you have them each day by day and such, but it was announced yesterday that two Brewers, Jackson and Pat Murphy, getting named as finalists for their categories. I think it would be more of an upset at this point in time if Pat Murphy doesn't win it. I mean, I know, you got Mike Shildt over there with the Padres as a finalist and the Mets manager and that, but Pat Murphy, if it's anybody but him, I think that's a huge, huge disappointment. Carlos Mendoza from the Mets being the other nominee too. So, Rookie of the Year, I think it's safe to say Jackson's probably a little bit of an underdog, and obviously we have our hometown bias with that too. But Jackson Merrill with the Padres as a finalist, and Paul Skeens also a finalist for the National League Rookie of the Year. So I think that if Jackson gets that one, that would be a little bit of a shock. But hey, who knows? Maybe that late run, the last half of his season, was what he was able to provide and what he was able to do. And considering, Christian Yelich being out of that lineup and him really stepping up and kind of filling that void, maybe that'll mean a lot to the voters, the baseball writers, who are the voters for this. Maybe that'll propel him up to the top a little bit. Maybe that'll get him up there. Who knows? But we'll find out next week with that. And then Bears week continues as we get set for Packers versus Bears this coming Sunday noon kickoff. Bears coach Matt Eberflus saying to the media yesterday that the Bears will be making some changes. Didn't really speculate on what it would be, personnel, coaching wise, and such. But he did say that Caleb Williams will remain the starting quarterback. I mean, that kind of tells you where everything's been going right now when you have Caleb, when the coach has to go out there and say, Caleb Williams will remain as the starting quarterback here. But we'll see what type of changes are going to be made, whether they're going to be letting go some coaches or what. I got to imagine maybe some of it's going to come from the offensive side, whether they move on from their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, or they give up play calling. I don't really know what to expect, but if you're a Bears fan right now, I mean, you hear some of the stuff. So last week it was like DJ Moore. DJ Moore was kind of cryptic with his comments about the team and leadership about the team and that. And then Jalen Johnson yesterday on 670 The Score was asked, are there players on the Bears who don't work as hard as others? And his response was, that's not really even a question, followed up by saying, so how can you help change that? And he answered, honestly, I've been fighting myself with this question for a long time. So, I mean, you have another current Bears player maybe kind of calling out the team right now, some players, maybe some of the coaching staff over there. So it's kind of Bears right now, Chicago, in a little bit of a spiral downward. That would definitely pause it or change it if they could pull off the win against the Packers at Soldier Field coming up this Sunday. So, but we'll talk some green and gold throughout this morning here as well as we get set for Bear season this Sunday. Also, don't forget, it is a Grind My Gears. It's an ASAP used auto parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what's grinding your gears? Come on, let's get some good ones here this morning, okay? What's grinding your gears? Hit me up with those text tweets, Facebook messages, or comments on the video stream. Okay. Get it off your chest. What's grinding your gears here this morning? Don't hold anything back. Let's get things going here this morning. That's your game plan. What else is on your mind? What else do you want to chat about and talk about here this morning? Let me know. Hit me up with those texts or other messages out there, and we'll see if we'll fit her in the game plan. All right. If it's a good topic, we'll hit it up in the game plan. So send me those. What else is on your mind here this morning? Let's take our first break and then get things going here. We'll talk some Bucks. We'll talk some Packers to open up things here. Kind of moves should the Bucks make if they are calling teams right now? What's the biggest position of need for this Bucks team? Maybe you got a certain player of mine, a realistic one. I want to hear from you. When was the last time you looked up into the left-hand corner of your windshield at that oil change sticker up there? Oh, no, you probably just realized it's been a while because you are now overdue for a change. Where to go? That's simple. ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Not only is ASAP Used Auto Parts your go-to spot for high-quality used auto parts and brand new tires, they're your go-to spot when it comes to oil changes as well. Don't wait any longer. Get that oil change today by giving ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire a call at 715-514-4501 or stop by their shop on Menominee Street, just right across the street from the Do Dodge over there. So, hey, also, if you head to our website, sportstalk1051.com, it's back. It's the best holiday ever. We've got that banner up at sportstalk1051.com, or you can just go to aroundthe715.com and check out all of the different giveaways, contests, signups there. But also another thing that we're doing again this year as part of Backyard Dreams. Remember last year we took some kids Christmas shopping, and we want to do that again this year. So if you go to sportstalk1051.com, click on the fan cave tab over there, scroll down a little bit, and you'll see the sign up, the icon there towards the bottom. You'll see the icon that says nominate a child to go Christmas shopping. Click on that, nominate a child to go Christmas shopping for this year too. So we're going to do it again this year as part of our Backyard Dreams program. And we're not able to take those kiddos Christmas shopping if it isn't for all of you who help support Backyard Dreams. So go check it all out at aroundthe715.com or just go to sportstalk1051.com, and that's the first banner in the rotation up on the homepage over there. So let's begin here this morning just with a little Bucks chat here. We've got the Bucks back in action tonight, taking on the Toronto Raptors. Tip time's at 7 p.m. We'll see if the Bucks can pick up their third win of the season. But the Bucks now are getting mentioned a little bit more in some trade rumblings, some trade rumors out there. And no, it's not trading Brooke or trading Damian or anything like that. It's apparently the Bucks trying to scour the trade market and looking to bolster their roster to help out Giannis and Dame. That's kind of the rumors, the reports out there that the Bucks are calling teams. I think just trying to keep all of their options open at this point, from what I've gathered, it's not necessarily targeting one specific player. I think they're scouring and trying to see what are the different options, who potentially would be available out there to help out the Bucks. Now, did see there was a rumor that the Lakers potentially would be interested in somebody like a Brook Lopez. Now, could there be somebody on that Lakers roster that could fit the Bucks and such? Maybe somebody who's Darvin Ham is maybe a little bit familiar with over there too. But I think if we just kind of keep it generic and general in terms of position wise, where we want to see the Bucks get better at, there's two for me. There's two for me for sure. Maybe a couple, maybe three. Let's just say a couple. One, I think you got to get more athletic at your big. We know Brook can play the outside, inside offensively, and he's a great interior defender. But again, I just think that the style of the NBA that doesn't work well. The current makeup of this team, this Bucks team, I don't know if it fits the style of the NBA with the fast pace, bigs playing on the outside, shooting from the outside. If you got a big who struggles to defend the perimeter, to defend the outside, well, that's going to put you in a big hole. And that's where I think, as good as Brook Lopez is at defending the interior, bigs, if you have the ability to play on the outside, they can expose that and they can take advantage of that. So that's where I want to see the Bucks get better at, is perimeter defense from their big man, from their center. Now, I struggle to say center there a little bit because I do believe too that the NBA is positionless for the most part. And I don't know. I mean, is Giannis better suited to play that 5, to kind of play that big role a little bit? I mean, you look at some of the other their big mans out there, like Joker and even Karl-Anthony Towns or even Anthony Davis and such. They've got an outside game and they can play that outside game, but they can also beat, if they're able to draw Brook Lopez outside or to the perimeter, they're able to take him. They can take him off the dribble. And I think the Bucks just have to get better at that position. I like Brook Lopez. I like his personality. I like, what he's able to provide, in the locker room and such. But they just got to get younger and more athletic at that position. That's one area that I would like to see the Bucks address. Another area, I think they got to get some more defensive help in the backcourt. Damian Lillard's a great offensive guard. There's no question about it. But I think they've got to get better defensively in the backcourt. That's a reason why they made the move to put Andre Jackson Jr. in that backcourt, to provide a little bit more athleticism, to help out with their transition defense. The downfall of the youngster is that he tends to rack up fouls. He's an aggressive defender, but maybe a little sloppy at times, and he racks up those fouls. So while I like the move of putting Andre Jackson Jr. back there, I think they got to get better still with defensive backcourt help, whether it's a starter, whether it's coming off the bench. And I know Bucks fans are probably thinking right now, you had that with Jrue Holiday. We did. We did have that with Jrue Holiday. But somebody that can play pressure D, pick up the full court, get back in that transition D, I want to see some improvement over there too. And then here's the thing too. I don't know what to expect from Chris Middleton when he comes back, when he comes back. Who the heck knows when that time is going to be at this point? So I'm not going to put any okay, let's hope by Christmas, let's hope by Thanksgiving. And the thing is like when he comes back, he's not going to be full. I'm assuming he's not going to be a full go. Like he's not going to be able to go, all right, 35 minutes again a night. So I think the Bucks got to look at bringing in another scorer, from the 2 spot, small forward, shooting guard, 3-2, whatever you want to call it. Because when Middleton's back, can you instantly say that he's going to be a guy that is going to be your number 3 scorer? And then, I mean, surgery on both ankles too. If I'm an opposing player, I'm going to test those right away, right? I might play a little isolation and test those brand new ankles, those brand newly fixed up ankles from Middleton. Try to play a little one-on-one game and put those to the test there. So I'm looking for maybe a 3-and-D, or maybe another offensive guy, a guy that could be your number 3 scorer or such. But there's some needs on this team. There's no question about it. There's some needs on this team. And I think a lot of those guys, and I'll admit it, I'll fully admit it. I came into the season like, hey, I like the Gary Trent Jr. signing a lot. A couple years ago, I really liked it. And looking at, Prince and a couple of them, I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. They got some depth. Hasn't been working. It has not been working. And no doubt about it, it's frustrating. It's got to be absolutely frustrating for the Bucks and John Horst and the front office at their moves right now, not working in the early goings here. Is it a little bit panicky to, maybe try to make some trades and moves right now? Maybe, but I think you have to be a little bit panicky at this point in time. It's clearly evident that something's just not gelling. And I'm sure a lot of Bucks fans too would be like, fire the coach. Maybe promote Darvin Ham or somebody else. Honestly, I do wonder, and I know I've said I don't think Doc gets fired this year unless it gets really, really bad. I almost feel like I'm going to alter that a little bit now. I feel like their first attempt to right this ship is going to make some trades, going to move some players. And if that doesn't work, then it might be Doc. Or maybe it's John Horst or somebody. Then I think you're going to see a coach or a front office person be moved, be let go. I think at first they're going to try to change the rosters a little bit. And if that doesn't work, if that doesn't change things up for the Bucks, then I think you're going to see some people getting moved on from that point in time. But there's a few different areas. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks try to adjust or um, try to fix it via the trades. Again, maybe an athletic big that could play inside outside. Specifically, I shouldn't just say play inside outside because Brook can offensively play inside outside, but play defensively on the outside. I want some more backcourt depth, defensive backcourt depth, an aggressive defender that way. Like, do we have that lockdown defender? I don't think we have that lockdown defender, especially when it's going up against a guy maybe like a Tatum, somebody like that. We don't have that. So maybe like a 3-and-D type of player. But some defensive help, especially in that backcourt. I want another scorer, maybe a guy that could potentially be your third option on the offensive side. So yeah, it's like that's a lot of needs for a hoops team, and you're right, it is. But I think those are areas they got to get a little bit better at. They've got to get a little bit better at to switch this up and change this up. And kind of change the tide, if you will, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's what I thought. Not really anybody in specific in mind. I know you go to blogs or podcasts or whatever, you're going to have trade scenarios, and I'm sure everybody's who's a diehard Bucks fan or an NBA fan is firing up the trade machines out there to see what type of trades would be able to work and all that good stuff. But at this point in time, I mean, if you're the Bucks, who's off the table? Dame and Giannis, right? Is there anybody else that's essentially like, yep, not available, off the table? I think at this point, everybody's got to be available. If you honestly feel like you can make a move to bolster this team and to make that change, and that's the thing, John Horst and the Bucks team, they've shown their willingness, or maybe at times willingness, or maybe at times their panickiness to make a move to try to change things up. So I think there's a feeling, a good sense that there's something that's going to be done. Maybe it's only one thing, maybe it's a couple things there. But in terms of who they could move, I think at this point in time, I mean, is it fair to say just two guys right now that you're not moving on from, and that's Dame and Giannis? Everybody else, realistically, if it makes sense, they're available? I'd say so. Why not? Make everything available besides Giannis and Dame. And at this point, if it's one of Giannis's good friends, at that point, he's got to realize, hey, we're not playing good. We're not playing well. For us to win, we may have to move on from one of your good buddies like a Brook Lopez, or if somebody's willing to take on Chris Middleton. You got to make that sacrifice. You got to make that move. Switching gears for a little bit, but you can, hey, Bucks fans, keep hitting me up with those messages and texts and such. Bears week continues here as the Packers, coming off their bye week, getting set to take on the Chi-Town Bears. Bears fans too. I mean, we know the loss against the Patriots. You had the Boo Birds coming down. You've got players going on radio shows and kind of, with some cryptic messaging and words about, the leadership and players not playing that hard and that. So, I mean, then you got the Bears head coach, Matt Eberflus, yesterday saying that there will be changes, whether it's coaching wise or personnel wise, but there will be changes and such. Caleb Williams is going to remain the starting quarterback. The fact that was asked and thrown out there, I think that's what you kind of have to tell where the state of play is at this point. And I know, like, everybody's, because Maggie and Perloff were doing it beforehand, but and yesterday we kind of did too. Which job would you rather have? And I think the Bears one, talent wise, is an attractive one. But, everybody, with these jobs opening up or these potential jobs opening up in the NFL, you're starting to hear about those a little bit more. We got a couple openings with the Saints, the Jets, potentially would be open if they don't keep, their interim coach over there, which, I mean, at this point, the way things are going, you might just let everything go and restart over. But obviously, one name that's attached or kind of gonna is kind of thrown out there, and I'm assuming that steam is gonna be picking up more in the coming weeks, especially at the end of the season. But just I was thinking about this, like, I haven't heard this name attached to a potential Bears opening, and if we have any Bears fans listening right now, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. But assuming, you're not gonna get Ben Johnson, it sounds like, I know the Adam Schefter report was out there the other day. But take Ben Johnson off the list. What would your thoughts be about Belichick coming to Chicago? Would that be a position that Belichick would be like, okay, got a young quarterback. I've got some receiving options. Okay. You got some players on the defensive side. We really got to build up that offensive line and, maybe just do a little bit of a culture change. Well, would first of all, would Bears fans embrace that, or would you kind of be like, want an offensive minded head coach to work with Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze and such? We want an offensive minded head coach. We had the defense, now we're going to go with the offense. Part of me is like, okay, if it's a guy like Belichick, does he bring in his boy Josh McDaniels then to work with the offense and to work with a guy like Caleb Williams? So I guess maybe a two-part question. If you're a Bears fan, what are your thoughts on that? And if you're a Packers fan or Vikings fan, and what would your thoughts be about that if a guy like Belichick came to Chicago to kind of be the coach, but maybe run things over there and try to right the ship? Would that make you a little bit nervous? Would you like, crap? If you're a Packers or Vikings or Lions fan, be like, crap, and or maybe like, yeah, what? No, yeah, no, I'm not worried. Not worried. Nah, no concern. Bears fans, if we got any Bears fans listening right now, what would your thoughts be on that? I was trying to think, because it's going to be a topic after every week, especially if these teams that we think are going to make moves as they're at their head coaching positions, and if they continue to struggle and they continue to lose, what you're gonna start to hear those coaching rumors and coaching mentions and trying to like fill in the perfect matchups and such. You know what I mean? So I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I haven't really heard about that name mentioned too much, and I'd be curious if that would be a match, or maybe not. Maybe Bears fans don't want that. So, because I got to imagine if they may just like clean house if I mean Ryan Pace, their general manager, would they move on from him and Matt Eberflus and just kind of like, all right, we're gonna get a new GM in here and we're gonna get a new coach and then let's ride with this thing with our young quarterback and such. I don't know. I'd be curious about that. I'd be curious about that. So, tell you what, let's take a quick break here. We'll get back to some more football talk here, but join in the convo. What else is on your mind here this morning, peeps? Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. What's on your wish list this year? If you said maybe a new home or maybe even a piece of land in the middle of the woods to escape to, you're in luck because Woods and Water Realty has your wish list already available. Just visit woodsandwater.com to check out all the listings available for homes, cabins, or parcels of land. And the team of realtors at Woods and Water Realty are ready to help you find that new dream home or a piece of land to build your future dream home. The realtors from Woods and Water Realty are with you every step of the way, making the process of home buying super simple. So start looking through that wish list right now at woodsandwater.com. And don't forget to, with the upcoming hunting season over here, to send us those photos for our Tilden Gun photo board up at sportstalk1051.com. Just click on the outdoors tab over there. And don't forget to, I know time's kind of maybe running out here a little bit, but if you got maybe get a new deer rifle or check out some used rifles over there, or maybe you need some accessories like some ammo, maybe a new sling and such, go visit our good friends at Tilden Gun. All right, Tilden Gun. You can check out their website at tildengun.com. But I think at this point in time, too, you might want to stop by their shop at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls to get ready for the upcoming deer hunting season, that blaze orange holiday season. Already getting my blaze orange out. I mean, it's that time of year too where people are going to be decorating the outside of their houses, not with Christmas decorations. It's airing out the blaze orange. You know what I'm talking about when you're driving around, you see all the blaze orange getting aired out from storage, from their long, year-long nap and getting aired out on the clothesline or on the porches and all that stuff too. So, all right. Hey, I wanted to also throw this out here too. We're going to try something a little new, a little fun, all that good stuff there. But if you want to leave us a voice message, a voicemail that we can play, whether it's on the show, mostly for the podcast, whether it's a question, whether it's some analysis, some insight, whatever the case may be, I want to get some voicemails from you. So put this number down, 715-303-7364. It's also posted up on my Facebook page over there too. But it's a Google Voice thing. So I mean, for podcasts, I want to start to put more of you on there, your thoughts, your questions, your insight and such, your voicemails. So nobody's going to answer it. It's just going to go straight up to the voicemail, and you just leave that message over there and make it appropriate too. All right. So make it appropriate, but have some fun with it at the same point. Okay. So again, that number 715-303-7364. Again, it's posted up on my Facebook and on Twitter over there too. So, but let's have some fun with it. Okay, let's have some fun. I want to feature you guys and gals all on the podcast, and maybe if it's a good one too, we'll play it up on the air. So, yesterday, Josh Jacobs was chatting a little bit too with the media and that, but Josh Jacobs. A couple of comments right now. First of all, according to Ryan Wood, Jacobs, who's on pace right now for 1,439 yards this season, that would be third best in Packers history. But Jacobs thinks he can be better. Quote, that's the fun part of this back end of the season is you trying to chase that perfection. Also said that he has rookie running back Marshawn Lloyd ride to practice with him. Make sure that Marshawn Lloyd rides with him to practice each day. Make sure that the rookie keeps his head in it despite being out for so long. Matt LaFleur, according to Matt Schneidman, who records every month, I believe, records a podcast with Matt LaFleur. But Matt LaFleur says that he's, quote, optimistic that Jair, Evan Williams, and Josh Myers will all play Sunday in Chicago, but they will give them the whole week leading up to that game. And I feel like Evan and Jair, say what you want about this Bears offense, which has been putrid a lot of times this year, especially coming off a very putrid performance against the Patriots this past weekend. I still would feel a whole lot more comfortable if Evan Williams and Jair Alexander were in that secondary, manning that secondary. Because you take those two out, it's such a huge trickle down effect. Then you're putting, you're moving players around instead of Javon Bullard playing, nickel closer to the line of scrimmage. He's got to go back to the safety spot. And then you're playing either Eric Stokes or Carrington Valentine. So obviously having Jaire and Evan Williams back would be a huge boost for that secondary. But just again, I think it's kind of you go from week 1 to where we're at now, coming off of a week 10 bye and talking about rookie Evan Williams and how important he is to this defense. We saw it in preseason. We saw it in training camp. He was one of those rookies that was flashing and, displaying his play, and that is like, oh, that's a guy to get excited for. And now I think it just, it makes you scratch your head. Week 1, how he did not play a single snap on the defensive side. Credit to Jeff Hafley. He learned from that mistake right away, and he's become a vital and super important player in the back end in that secondary group. A safety that, he's made plays. We can probably already think about a couple of plays that he's made, whether it's been, making a tackle at the line of scrimmage or breaking up a pass play. Evan Williams has been a focal part of this defense and a key part of this defense right now. I don't think there's any question about it that if you were to pick maybe a Packers rookie of the year right now, it's Evan Williams, or if you want to make the case for Edgerrin Cooper, you could throw that one in there too. But I think it's probably those two guys right now who are your leaders, clear leaders for rookie of the year candidates for just the Packers in that sense. And I think, honestly, he's not going to get it, I don't think. Maybe I could be wrong. But I think Evan Williams probably deserves to be mentioned more for rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. Is he lighting up stat sheets with interceptions and all that? No, he's not. But I think he deserves to get a little bit more talk with that. I really do. I was looking at some, odds on and bets and all that sort of stuff. And, you got Jared Verse over there at with the Rams and such, who's getting a lot of that attention right now. But Evan Williams, man, I love that guy. I like that guy a lot. He reminds me of a little bit of a quicker, maybe a little bit more of an athletic version of Micah Hyde. I know, numbers wise, jersey numbers wise and that. It's like, I don't know, weird, but it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Kind of reminds me of that play. Yeah, so we got Jared Verse, who's up there. You got I'm looking at Vegas insiders here. Okay, Evan Williams, according to these, actually he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the seventh best odds to win defensive rookie of the year. Edgerrin Cooper's on here. He's 8, 9, 10, 11th best odds for defensive rookie. Heck, even Javon Bullard's getting some votes or some odds on this here too. So you got a couple over there. But gosh, I hope we get Evan and Jaire back for this weekend against Chicago. I just specifically too, I know it's a couple weeks here, but I would really, really want to make sure that Jaire and Evan's available for San Francisco and Miami. These two games coming up after Chicago, but you cannot overlook, do not take Chicago lightly for all of their issues that's going on with that team and all of their problems and finger pointing and whatever else you want to call it. It's just, don't overlook Chicago. I do not want to lose this game against Chicago. I do not want to lose this one and head into, a stretch where you've got San Francisco, Miami, and Detroit. You got to win the games that you're supposed to win, and this is a game that Green Bay is supposed to win. This is a game Green Bay is supposed to win. Got to win it. Got to win this one. All right, we'll talk some more football coming up a little bit later on here. We'll talk some Badgers, too, with RJ Cardinal coming up at about 8:20 this morning. Lots to break down and catch up on in the Badger sports world. Football going up against Oregon. I don't know of too many people who are picking the Badgers for that one. But we'll hit it up. We've got Badger volleyball, we got Badger hockey, Badger hoops with a big game coming up at the back end of this week, taking on Arizona. Ranked matchup there. Badger hoops starting off undefeated so far. So we'll talk all things Badgers with Mr. Cardinal. We'll do some ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. Get yours on in. All right. Text those on over, or that would be a good way to utilize the voicemail. And leave a voicemail if you want to grind your gears. Thing is, you're going to drop a cuss word, I can't play it on the air. So there you have it. But what's grinding your gears? Send those puppies on over too. We'll talk some baseball. Brewers potentially going to be collecting some more hardware with Manager of the Year and Rookie of the Year finalists. Pat Murphy, Jackson Cheerio listed. And I don't think it's a big surprise for either one of those. But we'll go through some of the latest Brewers rumors and rumblings out there now that it's kind of the hot stove season here too. But we'll catch up. We'll catch you all up on some Brewers rumors and rumblings in terms of, what are they going to do with maybe the shortstop position, different positions on the squad and such. So we'll get to that coming up in the next hour or two. Also, Bucks fans, what do you think is the biggest need position wise? If we want to keep it generic, you don't have to necessarily give me a player unless you have a player in mind. But Bucks fans, who is or what is that position that you think they dramatically need to upgrade? Rumors are rampant that the Bucks are at that trade markets, making calls and such. What's the position you think they should address? What up, Morgs?
How we doing today, Casper?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right, good enough. What's the call on Christmas lights? Too early, or do you get them up now?
See, I love Christmas.
Right. I think everyone does.
There's some Grinches or
most
Scrooges.
people love Christmas. Yeah. Not everyone. Okay, fair enough.
So,
I like Thanksgiving.
I'd be okay with it. My wife doesn't want them up, but then she made a comment. She's like, well, you should put them up when the weather's still nice. So I'm like, so what do you want me to do?
That's okay. Do we go by calendar or do we go by thermometer?
Right.
Because it's getting cold out, and I only bring it up because we were driving in today, and I was starting to see lights go up for the first time.
Oh, there's a place in Stanley.
What?
Some house. I was coming back from hunting on Friday night, and it was dark out. It put Clark Griswold's house to shame.
Liar.
Not lying.
No, I have not seen this.
Clark Griswold's house to shame.
Well, someone out there knows what we're talking about then. If you're in the Stanley area, this is like, you definitely can't miss it.
An airplane could land with all the amount of lights over there.
Okay, so then they're probably up and glowing because it's so much work. And right now, this year in the calendar, Thanksgiving's so late that it will feel probably pretty crammed. Like everything goes Mach speed from Thanksgiving to Christmas. So I kind of get it. But I remember very firm, unspoken gentleman agreements rules. It always seemed like everyone just sort of agreed that Christmas season started after Thanksgiving. We have pushed that back to Halloween.
Yeah.
If we go any much before that, we're talking like 4th of July and boom. Yeah. So I think we need to kind of get ourselves on the rails collectively here as a society.
It's pumpkin spice season's moved up to July, and then it's like Halloween's. I mean, everything's getting moved up.
And I don't think there's any reason to accelerate these things.
Yeah.
Time goes fast enough anyway. Let's just keep it where it belongs. But seeing that up made me think that the weather component is because it feels like this year, the other boot's going to drop. Last year, we had very little to deal with. This year, it kind of feels like, okay, everything will equalize. Mother Nature is going to shake it out, which I get it. If you have snowmobiles, sleds, you want to get outside, you want the powder to come. So I'm fine with the snow. But is everybody getting in early because of that? Or have we just decided that everything starts now?
Everything starts now.
I heard Christmas music when I was in a store yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah, which I thought was bold.
I thought I did too the other day, but I don't know where I was at.
And I'm not saying like they snuck in, maybe it's cold outside. This was wall to wall, only Christmas.
Right. Yeah, like for me, it was always like a kind of a tradition, but it was like right after deer gun season or like that final weekends when we started to put stuff up, put the tree up. Yeah. That sort of stuff.
Did you get anything in the woods, by the way, when you sat out?
No.
Nothing? Did you see anything?
I saw some.
I saw some nice bucks on Facebook. People are getting them in early.
Spread the wealth, people.
I know. And they're not coming your way, apparently.
No.
Are you going to do a break board this year?
Yeah, we're going to do something over there too. So,
okay.
But, it was frustrating.
Are you watching anything?
I'm going to try to go again Friday afternoon.
Do you have something on trail cam that you're going after?
There's a few on there that I would be happy to have.
Okay.
But it's still night in the dark.
It's not going your way.
No, not
and
at all.
If you look real close, you can see them flip you off on the trail cam.
Exactly.
I think, too.
All right, thanks, Marks.
Anytime.
We got 1 hour in, 2 more to go. Stick around. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour kicking off right now. A big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Hey, I want to give a big thanks to everybody yesterday who, well, first of all, big thanks to Hy-Vee. It was a lot of fun yesterday. We did the program from Hy-Vee for Veterans Day. They did their Veterans Day breakfast, free breakfast for veterans and for those who are still currently serving in the military. Record numbers yesterday, so it was fantastic, and a big thanks to Hy-Vee for doing that. Bigger thanks goes to all of you who have served and continue to serve. Thank you for everything. But just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who stopped by and everybody who stopped by the table where we were broadcasting to say hi, and to all of you who say you enjoyed the program and listening. A big thanks for that. But it was a good time yesterday. Big thanks to C-Bomb for stopping by and hanging out. Helping fill some airtime as well yesterday. So Joe as well, but it was a good time. It was a good time. But a big thanks to Hy-Vee for always doing that, and it was good to see that record numbers coming through for that free breakfast. But again, big thanks to all to everyone who served and continue to serve our country, protecting us. So. We're going to talk to RJ Cardinal again coming up in a little over an hour from now. Our Badger analyst. Lots to catch up on with him. We've got football, of course, with their game against Oregon. We might have to have a little fun with that one with the point spread there. We'll talk some hoops. We've got a big game coming up on Friday, going up against Arizona, plus volleyball, hockey, all that good stuff in the Badger sports world. So we'll hit that up. Coming up here in a little bit, we'll continue with your ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. C-Bomb, I don't know. Would this be a Grind My Gears for you, C-Bomb? After Thanksgiving, another house like Griswold is on Gulf Road, west of Pine Meadow. Kids love that house. But let's have Thanksgiving first. Dave also saying, listening to you and Morgan about early season starts, Oktoberfest beer that starts in early September. Grind My Gears. So keep those coming. What's grinding your gears? Text them on over 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. So sorry, I just got a text from my wife saying that apparently Hudson went to school wearing 2 different shoes and they have to go back now. Get them. Okay. Oh, kid. Anyways, yeah. Brewers wise, that's probably what's grinding her gears this morning. Brewers wise, got some news yesterday. Probably no big surprise, but as it's also the hot stove season where we've got rumors and reports, obviously with free agency coming up here and such. But Brewers also been collecting some hardware. They've been collecting some hardware as of late. We know Bryce Terang won a Gold Glove, also Platinum Glove, being named as the National League's best defender, regardless of position. Sal Frelick also getting a Gold Glove, but maybe some more hardware. Plus, I should note too that the team overall, again for the second year in a row, won a Gold Glove. Team defense. Probably not a big surprise when you factor in Ortiz and Frelick and Terang and such. So, but they may be adding some more hardware. Pat Murphy named as a finalist for the National League Manager of the Year. Kind of a rookie though too. Manager of the Year. Probably no big surprise there. Jackson Chourio also named a finalist for the National League Rookie of the Year. For the Manager of the Year finalists, you got Pat Murphy, you got Carlos Mendoza from the Mets, Mike Shildt from the Padres. I think a lot of Brewers fans are just kind of waiting to see if Murphy gets it, and maybe another way to kind of stick it to Craig Counsell. So Pat Murphy was already named the Sporting News Manager of the Year, but and that one's voted on by fellow managers. This one coming up here is the baseball writers' votes over there. So I feel like that one, if it's not Murphy, it's probably going to be a big disappointment. It's going to be a shock. I think for the most part, that's going to be my reaction. I mean, if that comes out where he is not manager of the year, that's a grind my gears whatever day that's going to be. That's going to be a grind my gears thing there. He absolutely should be named manager of the year. It's going to be announced next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. Speaking of which, Pat Murphy. So he was this was a couple days ago. We'd missed it, but he was talking to the media the other day. He was doing some clinics and such, but he he read off the text that he sent to Sal Frelick after he found out Sal Frelick won the Gold Glove. This is audio courtesy from Adam McCulvey, who covers the Brewers at Brewers.com. So that is a little bit there, Pat Murphy given a little bit of a razzing to Sal Frelick, but I think the players enjoy that too. You know, that dry sense of humor, that sarcasm there, a little bit too. So it's it's I think that's another example of why these players really enjoy Pat Murphy and love Pat Murphy over there too. So it's I thought that was pretty funny. I'm sure a lot of you probably saw it from a couple days ago, but I had to play that. So again, that's audio courtesy from Adam McCulvey, who covers the Brewers at Brewers.com. So again, while I think it's probably going to be a shock if Pat Murphy doesn't win it, although we thought Craig Counsell probably should have won it at least once, maybe a couple times too, and we've been surprised by that. But I will definitely have a grind my gears Wednesday if we find out when we come on the air next Wednesday and he's not the manager of the year. Definitely will be a grind my gears Wednesday. Now, if Jackson Chourio ends up winning the rookie of the year, I think that will be a little bit of an upset. I think that would be a little bit of an upset here. He's got Jackson Merrill from the Padres, Paul Skeens from the Pirates. Chourio, reading a little bit here from from Brewers.com, would need a remarkable upset to become the fourth Brewers Rookie of the Year. We had Jackson Merrill received 11 votes and Paul Skeens received 19 votes. Who they accounted for all the 31st place votes in MLB.com's final poll on the matter during the regular season. However, what may help Jackson, that poll was done at the late in August, towards the back end of the August. And what might help Jackson Chourio is that what he did in the final month, really helping fill the void of Christian Yelich, making that push to the postseason. So maybe that would help secure some votes over there. So what do we got? A couple of texters here. C-Bomb, Oktoberfest in September is acceptable for me. In Germany, Oktoberfest is normally mid-September until start of October. Oktoberfest beer should be year-round. That could be a grind my gears. Evan says Oktoberfest is in September. So, okay, I get it. No, we don't need yeah, we'll drop that one there. So, all right, let's take a quick break here. And we'll take a quick break and get back to maybe some more football talk here too. But Bucks fans, if you're tuning in just now, first hour we were spending some time because there's some reports and some rumblings and rumors out there that the Bucks are making calls about making some trades, not for Giannis or not for Dame. Couple questions here. Is everybody on the table? If you're a Bucks fan, everybody's available for trade besides Dame and Giannis. Would you agree to that? Or would you add somebody else that is an untouchable for the Bucks? Is everybody touchable besides, that sounded bad. Is everybody available besides Giannis and Dame? Or would you add anybody else that's an untouchable? And then second, What is the biggest position of need for this Bucks team if they are seriously inquiring about trade targets? Who is or what position is that biggest need? What position is that biggest need? What do you think? Hit me up 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more coming up after these quick words. How many of you listening right now have younger kids? Probably a lot of you know with those younger kids. If you've got some floors, like some hardwood floors and such, it's probably gone through some wear and tear, some black marks that's been beat up, or maybe you got some pets over there too, and it's time to update that flooring. But what's a floor that can handle the wear and tear and the beatings from kids riding their bikes or playing football in the house, or maybe some kid or some of the fur kids over there running around? Well, how about some Rigid Max flooring that's available at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire? Just go visit Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. The entire team there will help you select the best floor that fits your needs. And like I mentioned, perhaps maybe even some Rigid Max flooring that has scratch, dent, and impact resistance that's unmatched in the industry. So whether it is carpet, maybe you want to, maybe it's time to, that carpet's been, you know, beaten up from the kids or from the fur kids over there. It's time to replace it. Carpet City Flooring Center has all the different styles and options for you to choose from. If you're not quite sure what would work the best, hey, what's really separates Carpet City Flooring Center from the competition is that their entire team there, their whole team there will help you from step one all the way to the finish after the install in selecting that floor that would work the best in your home, look the best, but also fit the best in terms of your budget and such. So if it's time to upgrade that flooring game of yours, go visit our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Also, want to remind you, because time is running out on this deal, but if you're maybe if you're like an employer and you're like, you know what? About time that my team gets some new swag, get some new shirts, or maybe you're looking to get some Christmas gifts for your team, or maybe for your family and friends too. That, you know what, I want to get some tumblers made up or some shirts or whatever items they may be. Go visit our good friends at Residence Branding Company in Altoona, located at 1728 Spooner Avenue, Suite C in Altoona. Whether you are that employer looking for gifts to give to all of your employees, or you want to get maybe some shirts or tumblers made up for your family and friends, Residence Branding Company has something for everyone. And from now until November 15th, that's why I'm bringing it up here, because it's only a couple days now. But from now until November 15th, if you mention my name, they will give you 10% off your order. 10% off your order. So time's running out. Thinking about getting some Christmas gifts, or again, maybe you just like, you know what, it's time. Got to get some new shirts or stuff made up for my employees. Residence Branding Company in Altoona can help you out. The Residence Branding Company, the official swag provider of the program here. Hey, coming up a little bit later on with Packers and Bears week here. Give me, I'm going to throw it back to all of you listeners. Give me, almost just broke that keyboard there. Give me your top five. Top five. I know I probably should save it for Friday for Brandon, but we're going to do it on Tuesday. Give me your top five sports rivalries. Rank them too. Got to rank them. Number 1 through 5. Is Packers Bears in that? And if it is in that, where are they in that top 5? So think about it for a couple minutes. Maybe you already got it, but give me your top 5 sports rivalries of all time. Okay. Text me those top 5s. Again, it's got to be in order. Got to be in order at 715-830-1912. Okay. And I'm sure probably a lot of you are going to pick Packers Bears in there. And I'll tell you right now, they're in my top 5. They're in my top 5. Just so a little bit of a background on this thing. So all-time record series here, the Packers lead the series. 107 wins compared to 95 losses, 6 ties. 6 ties over there. But that is a total of 208 games. This will be the 209th game coming up between these two teams this Sunday. And when we look at it, it's right now. Packers, where are they at on this win streak? Yeah, including 2. Okay, so they got 2 postseason games on here as well. So Packers have won the last Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Are they on a 10-game winning streak right now against the Bears? If this is accurate, Packers, yep, back to 2019, 10-3 win. Packers 21-13. Oh, these ads. Gotta stop with these ads. They're screwing me up here. So 10-3 win, 21-13, 41-25, 35-16, 24-14, 45-30, 27-10. Yeah, I'll admit it. That's didn't really. I'm looking at all these I'm not trying to pick on Bears fans here or anything like that, but the football database here, a lot of L's next to these. The last Bears win against the Packers, you have to go to December 16th, 2018, 24-17 in that game. 24 that was Joe Philbin coaching too, right? I think that was the year McCarthy got fired, but Joe Philbin was the interim coach at this point. I think, if I remember correctly. But man, that was a while ago. That means Matt LaFleur has never lost to the Bears either. And then before that, you had to go to 2015, 17-13 win for the Bears against the Packers. Yeah, Green Bay owns them. That's the definition of getting owned right now as of late. So, boy, I didn't realize they were on that winning streak right now. Interesting. Maybe I was just because I take it for granted and such and just assume. I don't know, but I didn't realize it was kind of that long of a streak right now. So interesting. We talked a little bit about Matt LaFleur yesterday, or a couple days ago, talking a little bit with the media and such, and he said that he's optimistic, he's hopeful that Jaire Alexander and Evan Williams and Josh Myers will be able to play against the Bears this weekend. Looking at this second half, because we were talking about how important Evan Williams has been for this defense as a rookie. Looking at the second half of this season for the Packers in these final 8 games. Give me, put on your projection hat, your prediction hats, and that sort of stuff. But who is the player? And we talked about schedule-wise, right? You got at Chicago, home against San Francisco, short week against Miami, coming over for Thanksgiving. At Detroit, at Seattle, New Orleans, at Minnesota, Chicago to wrap up the season. We know Jordan Love is going to be a critical player, has to be a critical player for the Packers to rack up a bunch of wins in the second half and get back to the postseason. But give me the underrated player. Like, who is that underrated player that either you think is going to help lead this team to victory, or maybe that overlooked player that is very critical, crucial to the team's success to finish off this second half of the season on a strong note and get to the postseason? We know the usual suspects, right? We know it's Jordan Love. We know it's Josh Jacobs. We know it's Jaire Alexander. We know the usual suspects. So give me that overlooked, maybe kind of an underrated player that will be crucial. Kind of that sleeper player that will be crucial, critical for the Packers to finish off this second half, winning maybe 5, 6 of their final 8 to get to 11, 12 wins and getting back to the postseason. Who is that player? Again, taking away the obvious ones. Taking away Jordan Love. Taking away Josh Jacobs, Jaire, et cetera, et cetera. I throw Evan Williams into that. I think Evan Williams, deserves, I don't know if he's necessarily overlooked, but, rookie, played in some big moments, has been, a vital part of that defense. I'd throw Evan Williams into that equation. I'd even throw Edgerrin Cooper in there. I want to see more of Edgerrin Cooper in this thing. So I'm putting the 2 defensive rookies on that list. Elsewhere, I'm looking at, and also to take Xavier McKinney's a lock in this thing too. So that's another player. Like, yeah, he ain't overlooked. he ain't a sleeper player. Okay, he's not. Elsewhere, I mean, if you really want to go into it, I'd throw a guy like Devontae Wyatt in there. I'm trying to think. Okay, we want that defensive line. We want that front seven to play a lot better in terms of stopping the run and getting some pressure after the quarterback and that. Maybe a Devontae Wyatt. I mean, I thought Devontae Wyatt was having easily the best season of his career before he got hurt. I think at that point he was still leading the team in sacks. So I want to see 95 be a wrecking ball at the line of scrimmage, disrupting the run, putting pressure on the quarterback, getting pressure up the middle against that defensive line or the opposing offensive line. So I throw Devontae in there, Devontae Wyatt. Offensively, I mean, since they don't really have a true number one, I mean, maybe you could throw in one of those receivers. Maybe it's a Jayden Reed in that. But is Jayden Reed overlooked? Is he a sleeper player? I don't think he qualifies as a sleeper player. But I think critical though. He's not a Jordan Love. I think it can make a case maybe for Jayden Reed. I'd definitely throw Tucker Kraft in there. Maybe for Packers fans, he's not kind of a sleeper player. But I love 85's game. I love Tucker Kraft's game so much. I mean, I really believe that he is developing into a all-around solid tight end. Reminds me a lot of George Kittle. You could say size-wise, but with the blocking game, being a receiving threat. Love the tight end. One of these times, though, I got to imagine, are they going to pull off a fake with that tight end sneak, that tight end push over there? I mean, they've only done it twice, but that second time when he went in motion, or even before it, I think a lot of us, it was like 4th and 1. A lot of us thought it was like, oh, it's going to be, Tucker Kraft going for the sneak, and he only done it once. He had only done it once. So, gosh, there's probably a few players over there. But I'm not necessarily looking for players who really got to improve their game because we've talked about that to death. We know about the usual suspects who have to improve their games. I mean, it's the Rashawn Garys, it's the Quay Walkers, it's the Kenny Clarks. But a guy that you have seen in the first half play some good ball, maybe doesn't get as much love as you'd like them to get or you'd think they deserve. But that guy in that first half that, that could be a critical player down the stretch here. That's where I keep going to a guy like Evan Williams or an Edgerrin Cooper. Heck, maybe even Eric Wilson. You throw Eric Wilson into there on the defensive side. Trying to think of some of those guys. Maybe it's a Marshawn Lloyd. That could be kind of a, Josh Jacobs, I don't think is going to be off the field too much, but if the rookie gets in there, we don't have a big sample size of him by any means, or maybe it's a Luke Musgrave. When he gets back and he gets healthy and he's on the field, does he provide another deep threat from the receiving department? So, yeah, think about some other players over there. Think about some other players. I keep going back to Evan Williams and Edgerrin Cooper, though. Maybe I'm putting a lot of hope and expectations and just some, optimism into a couple of rookies over there. But gosh, I just, and that's where I really hope in this second half, not to keep beating this, but I really hope that Jeff Hafley in the second half figures out a way or adjusts it a little bit more that Edgerrin Cooper gets on that field more times than not. Increases his percentage of play. His athleticism, his speed, his reaction, his tackling. We got to see 56 out there a whole lot more than what we've already kind of been seeing. Just in my opinion. All right. Give me your top 5 rivalries, sports rivalries of all time. With Packers Bears getting set for another matchup here. The oldest, you're going to hear it how many times. We might have to set the over-under on this during the game. The oldest rivalry in the NFL. Packers Bears. What are your top 5 sports rivalries of all time. This is your list, okay? Your list could be from the college or the pro game. Hit me up, 715-830-1912. Let's take that quick break. I got my 5. You got your 5? Better text them in. Got a couple minutes to do so. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. It's deer season, and now that we know that the main goal is to get that trophy deer, the question is, what should you do after you get your deer? Take it to Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking to get some bacon made, maybe some steaks or snack sticks, Mike's has options for anyone when it comes to getting your deer processed. And if you have a full freezer, maybe you want to donate your deer to those in need, Mike's Star Market is your deer donation site. Best of luck this deer hunting season. And remember, once you get that deer, bring it on in to Mike's Star Market because you know you will be getting the best quality products in return. All right. Let's have a little fun here. Top 5 sports rivalries of all time. Top 5 sports rivalries of all time to finish up the second part of or second hour of the program here. I think probably a lot of us will have the same ones, right? Well, we might have the same ones over here, but we're doing this because, well, it's Packers Bears week here. So let's do so this is my list. This is my list of the top 5 sports rivalries of all time. At number 5, now I'll be honest, I thought about moving them to number 4 because 5 and 4, if we wanted to flip-flop this, we absolutely could. But I'm going to go number 5, college football, Army, Navy. The but it was really good in the 2000s. I mean, you had the Pedro Martinez, Don Zimmer thing, the Clemens, and or not the Clemens, the Vrabel and Alex Rodriguez. I mean, it was obviously playoff matchups too. Aaron Boone hitting the walk-off home run in Game 7, the comeback from the Red Sox too, down 3-0. I mean, they're early to mid 2000s. That rivalry was off the hook, and it's kind of gotten a little bit. It's been a little quiet. It's been a little one-sided as of late. It's not to that Yankees Red Sox hatred. I feel like, and it probably is still to like Yankees fans and Red Sox fans. It's still up there. Probably similar to like non-Packers Bears fans because it's been so kind of one-sided for a long time for the Packers sense. But I think if you probably talk to a Yankees fan or a Red Sox fan, it's still a die-hard. It's still an intense rivalry and such. It would be up a little bit higher if we were doing this in like the early mid 2000s because that was like I wasn't a Yankee or Red Sox fan, but I felt like you had to choose sides at that point, so I chose the Red Sox side, and I actually bought a Red Sox hat. Like when you get to a rivalry and you got to choose sides, that's when you know a rivalry is good. When you're not a fan of one of those, I was on the Red Sox side for that one, so I'm gonna go Yankees and Red Sox at number 4. Number 3. Again, I don't think it's got as much bad blood from, outside observers. Again, I think if you are attached to this team, or in this case, a student at these universities, there probably still is, that rivalry, that feel. But I'm going to go Duke and North Carolina at number 3, college basketball. I mean, we know the histories. It's Dean Smith, it's Roy Williams, it's Coach K, it's Michael Jordan. I mean, everybody could probably think of multiple players that you do not like from Duke I mean, Christian Leitner, for some people, way up there. JJ Redick was a guy I just couldn't stand. Hansborough on the other side for UNC. I mean, I remember in college, me and my good buddy Jake, just could not stand Tyler Hansborough and such. I mean, you could think of all these different players, these legendary players that have gone through those programs and some of those games and some of those matchups. I mean, I don't know if that bad blood is there like it was, a few years ago and such, but it's still a big time college basketball rivalry, in my opinion, the top college basketball rivalry out there. So I'm going to go Duke and North Carolina as my third best sports rivalry of all time. Number two, I'm going to go Packers Bears. Packers Bears, we know the oldest rivalry in NFL history. We know the history of their upbringings and Hallis and Lambeau and Lombardi and all that. It has been a little one-sided on the good side for the Packers for a while now, but for the longest time it was the Bears there. But we know the Packers have the all-time record right now. They lead the series 107 to 95-6. It's also kind of a race between these two who has the most Pro Football Hall of Famers. It's between, I think, Chicago. Let me double check here. Chicago has the most Pro Football Hall of Famers right now. Yeah, Chicago's got the most with where's the number here? So Green Bay's got 33 Hall of Famers. Okay, the Bears have 39 inductees. The Packers are second with 33 Hall of Famers. So it's kind of a little bit of a race with that. Bears have the advantage right now, but in terms of wins and losses and that, and matchups and that, it's the Packers. But I mean, even when it's still one-sided, as it has been for Green Bay the longest time, you could tell from some of the players. You can definitely tell from some of the fans. It still means a lot. It still means, to go beat that team. I mean, it was a couple of years ago. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, we all know what he said. I own you, the owner, that sort of stuff. There is that intense rivalry between the players and the fans. I mean, when you got players saying they don't like this team, they don't like the fans. I mean, that is a heated rivalry, no doubt about it. Packers Bears, number two for me. The only one that has surpassed that rivalry right now, and this could change over the years, but right now, the only one that has surpassed Packers Bears for me as the best rivalry in all of sports, Michigan Ohio State football. I mean, when you could potentially lose your job as a head coach, you could be a great coach, but if you could potentially lose your job because you lose one game every season, and it could be between these two teams, that to me, I mean, that's like, hey now. I mean, Ryan Day, we know all the successes he had, but I mean, there's a lot of people think that he should be in the hot seat because he hasn't been able to beat Michigan the last couple of years. Michigan leads the all-time series with Ohio State, 60 wins, 51 losses, 6 ties. We want to break it down a little bit more. The series in Ann Arbor, Michigan leads that with a record of 32, 24, and 4. At Columbus, it's 27, 27, and 2. But again, you go through legendary coaches, Woody Hayes, Bo, Tressel, Harbaugh. I mean, the list goes on and on. And even though they are in the Big Ten, and they're a Big Ten rival for, if you're a Badgers fan, go for Illinois, whatever the case may be, you watch Ohio State Michigan games. You watch it. I mean, it's intense. There's a rivalry. There's the coaches get into this little bit of rivalry. I think it add a little bit more, with Harbaugh being there the last few years. I'm curious to see if that intensity is still there. Now, I think this year Ohio State is the clear, favorite over there, and it can get a little one-sided and such. There's no doubt about it. It can. But for me, you can tell there is bad blood between these two universities, from the students, from the fans, from the alumni, and all that. And you look at some of these games too, they've been kind of pretty darn close. You look at the last one, 2023, Michigan, number 3. defeating number 2 Ohio State 30-24. The year prior, Michigan ranked number 3. They beat Ohio State 45-23. 2021, Michigan ranked number 5 going up against number 2 Ohio State. Michigan won 42-27. If Ohio State loses again this year to Michigan State or to Michigan, you're probably going to have people say that Ryan Day should maybe let go. So if you can lose your job based off of you losing one game and it's to one certain team, that's a big time rivalry. So that's my number 1 sports rivalry of all time. To recap, number 5, I'm going to go Army-Navy football. Number 4, Yankees-Red Sox. Number 3, Duke, North Carolina college basketball. Number 2, Packers-Bears. Number 1, Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan and Ohio State. So, C-Bomb, his top 5 was Duke, North Carolina basketball. Number 4, Ohio State's and Michigan football. Number 3, Cowboys, Commanders. Number 2, we've got Red Sox, Yankees. Number 1, Packers versus Bears. Some other top 5s here. Got to give me a whole top 5. Bears, Packers from John. Red Sox, Yankees. Duke, North Carolina. Bama versus LSU. Ravens, Steelers. Bama versus LSU over Michigan, Ohio State. It's interesting. Interesting. So, all right. So there you have it. There's a few. Think about it for a little bit if you haven't chimed in, and let me know, okay? Hit me up with a text, 715-830-1912. Mark says Bears won't have any future Hall of Famers anytime soon. Well, they just got a couple of them in there. I mean, they increased that lead just, was it last year, last couple of years? Peppers and Devin Hester. They get credited for those guys. I think the only one that's anytime soon for Green Bay is just one right now that's a lock, and that's Aaron. After that, it's, kind of debatable. We'll see if Devontae maybe gets in there. I don't know. But, I mean, kind of say the same for Green Bay in that point, too, is like they've got one lock. And who knows? Go back to the older times in the senior committees and such. You had more from back in the day over there, too. So, I mean, Bears just had a couple of them going in there. So that's why they increased their lead there. And when you think about it, it's like 6. 6 isn't that big, but when it comes to Hall of Fame members, yeah, it's a comfortable gap. It's a comfortable gap. All right, coming up next hour, we're going to talk with RJ Cardinal from our sister station down in Mass, and we'll do some Badger chats with him. So we'll catch up with RJ and get his thoughts and heading into this Badger Oregon game. Got basketball, a big time game coming up with Arizona this Friday. We'll hit that up. We've got hockey to catch up on. We've got volleyball to catch up on with RJ. So lots to get to there. That'll be up about 8:20, 8:40, or not 8:20, not 8:40, 8:20, 8:25 here this morning. So we'll catch up with RJ here in just a little bit. We'll get to that too. Keep your top 5 rivalries coming at you too. Keep your top 5 rivalries coming at you. Hit me up with a text, 715-830-1912. So you're right too. Somebody also mentioned Steve McMichael from going in there too. You're right. Yep. So they had an influx of some Bears going into the Hall of Fame. No doubt about it. Maybe Green Bay will get a couple more of those older time guys over there, but I don't know. Holmgren, I think Holmgren should get in there, but he ain't going to get in. I think it's just a logjam at this point in time. I think he deserves to get in. I think Sterling Sharp deserves to get in. I think Bob Harlan should get some more recognition. I think Jack Vanisi should get some recognition. I think, those are guys. I know a lot of Packers fans don't know who Jack Vanisi is probably, but look up your history. 50s and 60s. he deserves more credit, just because he passed away in his early 30s. I think the history has kind of gone by him a little bit, and when you look at some of those Hall of Famers that are on that team, the guy who got them there was Jack Vainisi, and Jack Vainisi was a big reason too why Vince Lombardi decided to go to Green Bay. So Jack Vainisi to me is a Packer. I know a lot of Packers fans will say Sterling Sharp is the most deserving Packer to be in the Hall of Fame. Who's not in the Hall of Fame, and you'd be correct. Sterling Sharp is definitely up there, but understand the history a little bit, and Jack Vainisi is another guy that should absolutely 100% be considered for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I don't think that's ever going to happen, at least not during my lifetime, which is a shame because that was a guy that was a big reason of that turnaround for those 60s Packers. No question about it. No question about it. All right, 2 in. We got one more to go. We'll be back. Final hour on this Tuesday morning. It's a Grind My Gears Tuesday morning. ASAP Used Auto Parts, Grind My Gears. What's grinding your gears? Text us 715-830-1912 or hit us up on the socials or video streams if you prefer. What is grinding your gears? Big thanks to everybody who has texted in your Grind My Gears. Keep those coming. Keep those coming. We'll get to some more closer to the back end of this hour as we start to wrap things up here this morning. We got RJ Cardinal coming up in about 15, 20 minutes or so. Lots to catch up with him in the Badger world, so he'll be joining us here in just a little bit. Bucks will be back in action tonight, hitting the court, taking on the Toronto Raptors. 7 p.m. at tip time. Coverage will begin, well, I should say, scheduled for a 7 p.m. tip time. Coverage will begin at about 6:30. You can tune in on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM to take that game in. But we'll see if no Damian Lillard. First off, he's in concussion protocol for the Bucks, so no Dame going up against the 2-9 Toronto Raptors tonight. But the Bucks are also making some news, if you want to call it news. But the rumors and the rumblings out there are that the Bucks have been calling teams, inquiring about making some trades to help bolster their roster. Brian Windhorst from ESPN, he was on yesterday's episode, The Hoop Collective. He revealed that he was on the phone with a team that received a trade call from Milwaukee during their conversation. Quote, I was on the phone with this team and I go, hey, have the Bucks called you yet? And they're like, no, they haven't called us. Brian goes on to say, well, I just talked to like 4 teams in the last day the Bucks called. And this person said, he's like, yeah, well, they haven't called us. And then he's like, wait a minute, Bucks are on the other line. So while Brian Windhorst was talking to this team, apparently that's when the Bucks called. And as it says, Milwaukee has reportedly been contacting several teams. Now, it's not to trade Giannis or Dame. It's to acquire talent to surround those two players. Mark Stein on Sunday, NBA insider Mark Stein, said that the Bucks are still trying to improve the depth of their star pairing. So, I mean, the question is like, who's out there? You know, who is the the target? I don't know if they have a specific target for the Bucks. I mean, if you're calling several teams, maybe you're trying to work a 3-team deal to work out the financials, to work out the numbers and such. If you do have a specific player in mind, or maybe you're just scouring the markets and you're open to a lot of different people. That's kind of where I feel like it's at, is that they're trying to find they're casting a wide net. They're casting a wide net to try to find, maybe a couple players to bolster this roster. If it's me, there are 2 untouchables. There's only 2 untouchables, and that's Dame and Giannis at this point. Everybody else should be available. I don't know if I have another untouchable on this team. Do what you got to do to change this thing around, to make this a better squad. And I've honestly, I put the odds pretty high that the Bucks are going to make a move. I think if you look at the history with John Horst running the front office and you look at the last few years of what the Bucks have done, I think it kind of shows you the evidence that they're probably going to make a move. Now, we can argue whether some of those moves were the right moves, and I think that would be a discussion where, there would be some questions whether some moves were the right moves to be made. And I would agree with that. Not every move has worked out for the Bucks. Some have, some haven't. But in terms of just like, will they make a move or not? I think the evidence is that they're going to try their best. They're going to try their best to make that move, to bolster their roster, to improve their roster. All right. Well, we got some breaking news He said yesterday that there was going to be some changes, that there was, that they were going to do something. And Matt Eberflus has apparently done that. He has fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, out as offensive coordinator. Thomas Brown expected to take over offensive coordinator duties. So the Bears making a change at offensive coordinator, a guy that they brought in last year, Shane Waldron, or excuse me, for this season. Bringing in a new offensive coordinator to help mold the mind of Caleb Williams, help improve this offense, doesn't make it throughout the whole year. So Bears firing Shane Waldron, Thomas Brown, according to Tom Pelissero, is expected to take over. I mean, I don't know here's the thing now. We know Chicago's probably going to try to do some things different on offense. Like Thomas Brown's going to come in and he's not going to run the exact same thing. We know this, right? We know he's not going to run the same exact thing. There's probably going to be a lot of similarities and there's going to be some of the same concepts and such. But for him, I mean, he's not going to do everything exactly. Now, if Thomas Brown's name sounds familiar, remember he was the Badger running back coach back in the day, 2014, I believe. Spent a lot of time coaching running backs at the college level, making that jump with the Rams, where his name kind of really started. You started to hear his name mentioned a little bit for head coaching spots when he was with the Rams, and he went to Carolina under Frank Reich when Frank Reich went over there and hired him as his offensive coordinator. And at that time, a lot of people were like, that's a great hire. It's a really good hire. But now, after the whole Carolina debacle with everything over there, he goes to Chicago to become the passing game coordinator. So now he's going to get his shot to call some plays over here with Caleb Williams and and those receivers of DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen and such. So it'll be interesting to see, Thomas Brown, again, if we kind of look at his background, and I don't know how much he's going to be able to adjust with just this week here, getting ready for the Packers. It's not going to be a complete overhaul of the playbook, but will he be able to incorporate some of the concepts maybe from his days with the Rams, where he spent a few seasons under Sean McVay and utilizing, a little bit of that playbook over there. I don't know. Wait and see. But, Shane Waldron was the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator from 2021 to 2023. And he was kind of viewed as, again, at that time, it was like, I think a lot of people was like, that's a good hire for Chicago, bringing him in. Guy who, did some stuff with Geno Smith, had some success, kind of helped to resurrect Geno Smith's career under Pete Carroll over there. Seattle making a change with their head coach. So Shane Waldron becomes available. They hire him this year and doesn't make it throughout the season. Doesn't make it. We knew something was going to happen. I mean, when you got Matt Eberflus, first of all, he said something was going to happen. You see the writing on the wall. You see how the offense has been playing. I don't think this should be a big-time surprise that the move that they decided to make was to let go of their offensive coordinator. So I think, Thomas Brown, going back to him, if he takes this opportunity and he has success, you go back that he did have head coaching interviews the last few years. This is a chance for him to maybe kind of really improve his stock and run with that. So, again, how much will change for this game? This is the only one that matters to us for Packers games. I don't know. Obviously they're going to do a little bit more different stuff. They're going to change some things. I think for one, they really want to end their 23 consecutive possessions without scoring a touchdown on offense. That's at stake. If you're Green Bay's defense, that's at stake. We got to keep that streak going, keeping them out of the end zone for all these different possessions. So expect something different. expect some unscouted looks. There's going to be some surprise elements to this. But I don't think Thomas Brown is all of a sudden going to change the complete playbook heading into this game. There'll be a few different wrinkles, but not a whole lot. Not right away, at least. But will that be a spark? Will that little bit of a spark, that little bit of a change, will that be enough for this game coming up against Green Bay, where it is just a little bit to get Chicago to pull off the upset victory? I mean, how many times have we seen it? You make a change at a position, it kind of like sparks the team. They get on a little bit of a run, whether it's a head coach or an offensive coordinator or such. We've seen examples of that all across the board, right? Now, it doesn't mean it's going to happen, because we have examples of that not working out either. But will this be a spark that kind of lights the fire for some of these Bears players, for this team? Remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. I mean, I've got to imagine this is probably the only move that the Bears are going to make. It is Tuesday in that, so I'm not quite sure. But, they promote their passing game coordinator, and right now when you look at, some of their numbers, especially in the passing game, it's not the greatest. Right now, the Bears, they have 277.7 yards per game. That's third worst in the NFL. 277.7 yards per game. Oof, that is that I think that's the frustrating part, is like, okay, you surrounded Caleb Williams. If you're a Bears fan, you surrounded Caleb Williams with some receiving options, and they're not putting up great offensive numbers. Is it play calling, or is it still personnel? So you've got, to put it in comparison, Green Bay's got the third most yards per game, averaging the third most yards per game. They're at 390.6. The only two teams that average fewer offensive yards per game is Cleveland and the team that Chicago just lost to, the New England Patriots. Defensively, just kind of looking at some of these numbers, Chicago's just behind Green Bay in terms of yards allowed per game. Green Bay, just outside the top 10, it looks like, 320, and then Chicago 323.3. We'll do more breakdowns of that coming up at the back end of this week on a Football Friday and that. So, all right, but there you have it. That's your Bears change, changing out offensive coordinators. Let's take a quick break. Speaking of Thomas Brown being a former Badger running back, let's talk some Badgers. RJ Cardinal is going to be joining us here. Lots to get to here. We got Badger football. We've got Badger basketball, volleyball, hockey, you name it. So let's get to it. First up, we got a quick break, and we'll be back with RJ coming up after these quick words.
home to the top or bottom teeth, other mouth guards go all the way to the back, which allows the back teeth to touch. This is where most of the grinding and clenching occurs. The Brux Night Guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Brux Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Order your Brux Night Guard today and get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to BruxNightGuard.com and enter the code BRUX91. That's BRUX91. Stop your grinding with Brux Night Guard.
How many of you listening right now have younger kids? Okay. Now, how many of you have hardwood floors in your home? All right, quite a few of you. Now, here's a simple equation for you. Hardwood floors plus younger, energetic kids equals black marks, wear and tear, multiple different things. The point is, your floors can take a beating, especially if you have younger kids playing around or even riding their bike around the house. Hey, don't ask. I know from experience. And we don't want to stop our kiddos from having fun, but we also don't want to ruin our floors. So what do? Easy. Go take a visit to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. The entire team there will help you select the best floor that fits your needs. Perhaps even some Rigid Max flooring that is scratch, dent, and impact resistance that's unmatched in the industry. So what are you waiting for? Get that new floor today from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and take comfort in knowing your new floor can handle those energetic kids.
Hi, I'm Bob Bossel, inviting you to join me on a Field and Flavors of Australia and New Zealand tour March 13th to the 31st. It'll be an unforgettable journey down under as we learn about their farming practices, unique wildlife, and natural wonders. We begin in Sydney, where we'll learn about indigenous bush foods at the Royal Botanic Garden and enjoy a spectacular sunset cruise on Sydney Harbor. Next, we travel into renowned Hunter Valley to savor world-class wines and farm-fresh meals. In the New Zealand tablelands, we'll visit a distillery, an Australian merino sheep farm, and a trout hatchery. After attending a live cattle auction in Armadale, we'll meet koalas and kangaroos in Brisbane, and then explore tropical cairns on the Karandu Scenic Railway. Following a full day at the one and only Great Barrier Reef, we continue into New Zealand and capture picturesque vistas from the Canterbury Plains to Milford Sound. Visit holidayvacations.com, keyword wax, for more information and to watch a travel show, or call 888-557-1020 for a free brochure.
At the Home Depot, the holidays have arrived.
And so is all my family. So I'm working on keeping up with the laundry.
The Home Depot is here to help with Black Friday savings up to 40% off select appliances. Spend less time doing laundry with smart, efficient appliances from Samsung, ranked #1 in customer satisfaction.
Perfect. Less laundry time means more family time.
Get Black Friday savings now with free delivery and financing on select appliances at the Home Depot. Visit jdpower.com/awards for more details. Offer valid November 6th through December 4th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Fall is here and winter's right around the corner. Is your footwear ready? At Shoe Doctor, they've got you covered from the crisp fall days to the snow-filled months ahead. Whether you need waterproof boots, warm winter shoes, or stylish options for the season, their experts will find the perfect fit for you. They carry the best brands with comfort and durability guaranteed. Visit Shoe Doctor on East Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire or online at ShoeDoctorEauClaire.com. Shoe Doctor, where your feet always leave happy no matter the season. Shoe Doctor, fitting you for life.
Highlighting all the sports and outdoor activities that Wisconsin has to offer. It's the Scunny Sportsman. Visit SportsTalk1051.com to check it out.
Got to give a shout out, big thanks to Erberts and Gerberts. They just dropped off some sandwiches, got some breakfast over here. But today only, in-store and drive-through only at the Menominee location. All right, Menominee location, 1103 Broadway Street, South in Menominee, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., $4 sandwich day. So big thanks to Erberts and Gerberts for dropping off some sandwiches here this morning for us to try. I got my breakfast already ready to go. All right, RJ, that means you got the whole program there, big guy. So there you go.
Yeah,
I got.
Do they deliver?
Yeah, they deliver. Yeah,
I mean, like here?
No, not to there. So sorry.
Okay.
I apologize.
We used to have an Erberts and Gerberts here down on State Street.
Yeah.
Not sure what happened. It's gone now. I really wish one was back because, you can they dig out the bread and you can ask for the inside with your sandwich.
The guts, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, like now I'm just gonna hang up because I don't. I'm a little jealous right now.
Well, nothing makes a morning person happier than food, especially when you're up at 3 and then you get
Right.
like a few hours later, breakfast is like the best meal of the day now. So
Yeah. And then like you have lunch at 10.
Yep, exactly.
Dinner at like 2:30, and you're good to go to bed.
Happy hours at noon, that sort of thing. So
there you go.
Oh man, hey dude, we got lots to catch up on, so let's jump right into it. Speaking of happy hour being at noon, happy hour might be a little bit sooner on Saturday for Badgers fans, maybe wanting to forget that game against Oregon coming up here, man. I mean, I don't know. Okay, I mean, I don't even know how to talk about this game, RJ, because I mean, I'm not giving Wisconsin a shot at this whole thing. But I mean, if Wisconsin were to win this game, is it going to have to be where Oregon almost like shoots themselves in the foot constantly in this game?
Yeah, I mean, like Oregon has played some close games this year, and some like when they're on the road, they tend to have some closer games. Like, I mean, that may be a saving grace, but like even at home against Maryland, they only won by 11. So maybe that's not a far off spread.
Right.
And I know Idaho's a pretty good FCS team. Beat them at home by 10. Beat Boise State at home by 3. The odd thing is, though, I think those teams are better offensively than we are, and defensively. It's really one of those because I mean, if anybody watched the UCLA Iowa game, UCLA does have a better run defense than us, but Iowa over the past 2 weeks is averaging 202 rushing yards a game, and UCLA held them to 80 yards. So I mean, this is another one of those where I think Oregon's style of offense, I mean, this could be when people are leaving before jump around. I hope I'm wrong, but I mean, just watching this Oregon team and looking at the stats on the paper, it's like if we can slow them down, sure, we have a chance, but we also need a pass rush to get on Dylan Gabriel, or else he's going to pick this secondary apart, which is still our best attribute on defense, but even that's not like the greatest in the world. It's like one of those I've really gone into, like the first time I've gone into a game and really thought we don't have a chance. I think I thought that against Iowa too, but I still picked us because I was betting with my heart instead of my head.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this one you keep going away because like that was a debilitating loss. And if you still think the offense is the problem, I don't. Like I think it is limitations are being put on the offense right now because the defense isn't good. Like that's a true feeling I've had. And I mean, sure, there's been some play this year where, the Badgers are keeping the defense is keeping you in games, but I mean that stretch run of 6, 7, and 3 points were against some pretty bad football teams we're seeing. I mean, you held 2 lesser opponents to 14 or under. You were doing well against USC and somehow just completely lost it. And I mean, just getting absolutely demoralized last week against Iowa. Like moving forward, I don't know how you can trust this defense. Like Oregon is multifaceted and can beat you multiple ways. Nebraska just hired a new offensive coordinator to try to kickstart their own offense, and we know Minnesota's going to come in and run the ball against us. Like it's really one of those, like each one of these remaining teams, and maybe the most confident you're against is Nebraska because we don't really know what they are. But like, it's one of those you're really worried about your winning record streak being broken, and possibly a bowl game. But I mean, even at 5-7, you got a chance to make it. We saw Minnesota's academic progress rate. Wisconsin's always usually top of the country in that, so you might still get an invite here to a bowl game. So your bowl game streak might be intact. But really looking here now, and the weird thing is you've lost the games everybody thought you would so far, and you're except for there was one toss up against Iowa, and Kirk Ferentz showed us running the Wisconsin style of football still works when you recruit for it. And it may not look pretty all the time, but when you come up against a team who doesn't want to stack the box against you, even though you know they're not going to throw, when you throw for 10 times in a game, I mean, come on, it's embarrassing to lose 42-10.
Right.
And the people who, like we talked last week, the people who were upset he ran up the score, I mean, he did it because he could. And that's something coaches do nowadays, because you need the style points in the eyes of the college football playoff. And I think also because he and Paul Chryst are close. I don't know if they're friends, but they know each other. He offered him the offensive coordinator position. He probably ran it up on the Badgers the way Paul Chryst was treated on his way out of here. Friends do that kind of stuff for petty reasons. It happens. I wasn't mad at it. Stop the run. It's not like they were passing on us.
Right.
But yeah, so it's really a game going into this year. This week, I'm going into it not thinking there's a Ice Cube's chance in hell.
Are you surprised that the line's only at 14.5 right now?
A little bit. I mean, if you're a betting person, maybe hit that hard.
Yeah.
Because I think as we get closer to the game, we could see that creep up, or people are genuinely worried about the traveling 2 time zones. By the time the game starts, it's probably going to be dipping around near 40 into the upper 30s. So who really knows what the factors are here? But there's more often than not, Vegas is usually close to what they're putting out there.
Mm-hmm. Before we get to prediction and all that sort of stuff, like point wise, we know who you're picking, but we got lots of other Badger stuff to catch up on here. Badger basketball's got a big game on Friday with Arizona. They're honoring the Final Four teams. That's when Bo Ryan's going to get his name put up in the rafters. But the Badgers right now 3-0 with victories against Holy Cross, Montana State, and Appalachian State. Badgers putting up some points too. And I know, those aren't the biggest programs, but like even Montana State, a team that's made the tournament the last few years here. From the first 3 games that you have seen, what's kind of maybe stood out to you, or your first impressions from what you've seen from this Badger basketball team?
I mean, I think we're going back to a time where anybody could step up and be the player of the game,
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing. You always don't need a Batman and Robin. It could be multiple Batmans on a different day.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that. We've seen Tanji come out and seem like a guy who's very capable of being a guy who can take over a game. I did like the post-game presser when a reporter brought up, this is your career high in assists, and it was 5. So, like that was pretty funny, and everybody up on the dais was laughing about that. But, he's seeming like a good transfer that people looked at and said, well, I don't know about this guy. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of rotation we have going. It seems like they're going only 8 deep, as we've seen the last 2 games. But like you said, yeah, you beat a tournament team in Montana State, and App State won their regular season conference last year. Now, not saying that's anywhere comparable to playing the number 9 team in the country who beat you by 25 when you traveled there last year. And I don't think talent-wise, it's like the Badgers got that much better. It becomes a question of, out of these 2 games this weekend, Friday and Saturday, who do you have more confidence in winning? And I think most people would agree neither.
Yeah.
But, and for some reason, people are leaning more towards the football team winning, which I kind of don't understand. So, like, you've had a much more of a sample size to see of the football team, and so on that alone, I think, as I'm looking at it, Wisconsin at least has some chance of beating Arizona on Friday night.
Yeah, and I know I was reading a little bit that they moved up quite a bit in the KenPom rankings and some of the power indexes as well with these 3 wins too. So I mean, others are
And they're
taking notice of
receiving
that.
votes now.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, exactly. So other people are not taking notice of that. So,
Yeah.
no, you mentioned John Tonje and what the start he has been off of so far this year. I mean, right now it's only 3 games in, but he looks like a pretty darn good replacement for AJ Storr, doesn't he?
Yeah, averaging almost 18 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, a steal, only 2 turnovers a game, hitting 55% from the field, 94 from the free throw line. I mean, that's one thing we're seeing a little bit better overall as a team. The free throw percentage is getting much better. It's 92%. You got Nolan Winters, the one pulling you down there. At 66, so he's taken over Ethan Happ, I guess. But yeah, overall, it seems like outside of the slow starts, you have a team that's doing better from the statistics they were looking for even in last year. Like we heard Greg Gard say, the way the game's going nowadays, we're going to be taking more threes, and that's in part due to the why Kirk Penny was brought in to bring in that more European, Australian, international style of basketball. That's why, what's the other assistant coach they brought in who?
Oh, the D2 coach?
Yeah, who's got good connections internationally and bringing in foreign players who are more adept to the style that is taking over basketball right now. So, you see Wisconsin kind of changing their style in hopes of, drawing more talent who will be in that kind of style and not the rugby football style of basketball everybody says Wisconsin basketball has been for a very long time. So yeah, it's a team where, I mean, you're seeing good contributions. I think the starters are each averaging double digits. And you got contributions from Kamari McGee and he's putting up almost 25 minutes a game. So it's some of the guys, though, we saw that, Freitag, who apparently behind closed doors, when the media isn't at practice, is turnover prone a little bit right now. So yeah, it's weird that once the lights are off and the media is gone, all of a sudden he becomes a klutz on the court. But we're seeing him not getting the minutes right now because he hasn't earned them. But it'll be interesting to watch that as the year goes on to see what kind of playing time he ends up getting. Because I mean, all we ever saw, even in the off season last year, were Twitter exchanges and be like from him saying, I've been talking to coach and he told me to be ready and I'm going to be ready. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see moving forward what kind of play we get out of the bench and see if it kind of grows past McGee, Amos, and Gilmore.
Yeah, Lance Randall, that assistant coach.
Yes, thank you.
Over there. So, yeah, I was just reading a little bit too about his bio. You're right too, because even this past summer he was the Great Britain U20 coach. It looks like too. So
yep. So like, yeah, he's kind of dug in the international community, and we'll see if that pays dividends. Because I mean, we have seen Wisconsin get some international guys as of late. I mean, they have a history like Kirk Penny, and I mean, really, I think that's about it. But
yeah.
Well, I guess we had some other guys who, like Dwayne, even though like he's from the United States, like his family isn't, and like Osita Nwachukwu. And so there's a couple of guys who stand out there, but I think I named them all now, hopefully. Hopefully
Right.
I didn't forget anybody. But yeah, so I mean, if it's the way the game is going and it can get you people in the door, I mean, granted, still you got some of the top tier guys in this state going elsewhere, but I mean, when they're 5 stars, they're for one reason or another, they're never even looking here. And people can blame that on the style, but like we've talked about before, when Wisconsin has gotten the more dynamic athletes and played within the swing system still, it got you to 2 Final Fours, and that's about to be recognized on Friday. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we see on Friday, but you're still looking at it like it's almost the exact same team that beat us by 25 last year. And so far in 3 games, we've seen the Badgers dig themselves into a hole, and I'm not sure if you do that against Arizona, you'll be able to get out of it. And I know last year we saw a couple times they got close, but then Arizona, I think they were just taking some rests because then they kept pulling away, and it looked like it was never really a thought that Wisconsin could win that game last year.
Mm-hmm. RJ, good weekend too for women's volleyball on Saturday, sweeping Penn State, which was a top 5 team, number 3 overall in the country. They got another big one coming up here Thursday against USC, but we got just a few weeks left here of this regular season. Big Ten overall, though, especially when you add in Oregon and USC and those West Coast teams. I mean, that's a premier volleyball conference, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it was before those additions, and then you just add in because they beat Oregon earlier in the year when Oregon was 11. Like you said, USC's number 20, and like you had a bit of a rough start, but you were also getting like really a new set of players getting used to playing with each other, and I think that's going to be something like moving forward, because I mean even in volleyball, there's a lot of movement in terms of roster year over year, and so hopefully moving forward you can kind of offset that and get together to mesh in the system earlier in the season. But I mean, heck, you're still top 10 in the country right now.
Right.
I think they moved up to 6 from 7 after sweeping Penn State. But yeah, so it's still one of those. You're looking at how many games we got left? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And you end the season here at the Fieldhouse, so that could be pretty cool. Not sure, and with looking at records and stuff, I'm not sure how close they are to being in contention for the Big Ten title, so might have to look to have an at-large berth. But I mean, if you're a top 10 team in the country, I think you're getting one, unless they want to spread the wealth and keep a team out of it, which hey, could happen. But yeah, I mean, winning helps solve everything. So I mean, you have 3 ranked opponents in these last 6. In terms of Thursday, like you said, USC. Then Saturday, you're at UCLA. The 20th, number 14, Minnesota comes to town. You go to Nebraska on the 23rd. They're number 2. Then you welcome in Ohio State and Michigan State to end the season the week of Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, take care of the business you can, I guess, and hopefully that'll lead into some postseason eligibility.
Yeah, definitely a battle-tested team. You mentioned, beginning of the season, 3 or 4 games were against, at that point, Louisville, who was ranked 6, Texas, who was ranked number 1, Stanford, who was ranked number 5. I mean, This is a team, you look at the schedule, they've played a ton of ranked opponents. I mean, they're going to be well-tested once the tournament time starts.
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, that's one of the things, like, you can point to when you're looking at the Big Ten still, even before we added the 4 new teams, yeah, and hopefully the strength of schedule and resume kind of speak to your chances of getting into the postseason.
Right. Also, moving to hockey, Badger men's hockey. Last weekend, they were in Madison taking on the Gophers. Close games, RJ. Dropping Friday night's game 2-3, then overtime loss on Saturday, another 2-3 score. Badger men's hockey team just 2-8 on the season, kind of like last week when we asked you about, the Notre Dame series where they split and their loss against Notre Dame was a 2-3 loss in overtime. Do you take anything positive away going up against, the number 3 Gophers and losing 2 tight games?
I mean, yes. I mean, you're hanging with them, but on Friday you had a 2-0 lead and lost 3-0 in regulation.
Mm-hmm.
You came down from 1-0 to go up 2-0. Minnesota's only goals were scored on power plays on some pretty dumb penalties, and end up losing in overtime. But it's like I'm tired of moral victories for the hockey team
Mm-hmm.
that has 6 national championships and wants to just keep pounding their chest on that. I mean, at least for the longest time, even when 1990 was our last one, the teams were still all qualifying for NCAAs almost every other year and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, and we've talked about it, the star players are not on this roster right now. So hopefully this recruiting cycle, we can get something going in terms of that. And, it's another one. You're going on the road here against Penn State. And, they're a decent team. They're 4-3 so far. I think they got swept by Minnesota a couple weeks ago and haven't had a conference game since. But hopefully you can go on and look competitive against a team that maybe is more around your level. And like we said last week, work to get a split. That's we're back to that.
Yeah. Not to, I'm not trying to ignore them, but they've been business as usual, the women's team. And I know they didn't play this last weekend, but earlier this morning, I was looking at some of their numbers. They're undefeated, but when you break it down, goals and shots, I mean, Wisconsin's got 75 goals on 488 shots compared to their opponents, 9 goals and just 240 shots. You break that down, goals per game, Wisconsin 6.3, their opponents 0.8 right now, RJ. So, they're just off to a dominant start, and they've got Ohio State coming up this weekend.
Yeah, and I believe it's in Columbus this weekend. So that's going to be a tough one. Ohio State themselves is a great program. They beat Wisconsin last year in the NCAA championship game, even, and I think they had a chip on their shoulder from when Wisconsin beat them in the WCHA finals. This is becoming a pretty great rivalry, and right now you're outscoring your opponents by a total of 66 goals.
Yeah.
So, your goaltending and defense is doing great. And like you said, they're putting double the amount of shots on their teams, their opponents this year. So it's one of those. I do know Coach Johnson hates losing. He doesn't like winning. He hates losing. There's a big difference. And the people who get that know what I'm talking about. And even though it's not shown in the movie Miracle, he was one of the more intense guys in that locker room and kind of set the tone for that team, along with the Michael Ruzioni being chosen the captain. So, and it's one of those that their media day, when I forget who it was, said we're out for blood this season. They've done it so far.
Yeah.
And that's beating the number 3 team in the country in Duluth, the number 3 team in the country, Minnesota, the number 8 team in the country, St. Cloud State. Now you get to take on the number 2 team in the country right behind you in Ohio State. So then you got a little lull in ranked opponents up until you see Ohio State again in January. It'll be interesting to see how this weekend goes. I don't know if it's on TV or anything, because why not put the top 2 teams in the country on broadcast TV instead of BTN Plus, but
Right.
that's just me trying to think of ways to actually maybe grow your channel and not necessarily your streaming services. Because
Mhm.
I mean, I know when I sit down at night, I always turn on Big Ten Network.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be a good series. Like, I mean, and maybe your first real test of talent
Mhm.
this year.
Was he? You mentioned, he hates to lose. Was he like that with you in Little League when he coached you, RJ?
No, no. when he was dealing with 9 and 10-year-olds, and 11 and 12-year-olds, he was more of the, because he was our assistant coach. He was the, hey, relax, blah blah blah. That he was more laid back when he was coaching Little League. But
Gotcha.
yeah, it's one of those though. Assistant coach with the men's team, and then now since he's been the leader of the women's team, yeah, he's one of those who strives for excellence, and yeah, I think it shows in what we've seen out of the women's program since he's taken over.
Right. All right. Before I let you go, we know you're picking Oregon, but does Oregon cover with the 14.5 spread?
I think they do.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll probably go 38-17 Oregon, and I mean that's being generous towards the Badgers, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. I was gonna say 17. I might take that right away. I'd be
Well,
happy with
yeah,
17. So
I mean, on both ends, I think I'm taking a little off the top from Oregon and giving a little more than the Badgers
yeah.
might do. But yeah, I mean, when they've gone up against superior opponents, I mean, the highest you've scored this year is 21, and I wouldn't consider USC a superior opponent. So we'll throw that one out. And the highest you scored was Penn State 13. So yeah, it's just the way what we've seen play out is just not conducive to picking Wisconsin to win this game. Even though at Camp Randall they are 3-3 versus number one teams who come in here, and in the last 14 years they're undefeated.
All right. Well, there you go. A little nugget for the day right there. I like
It's only
that.
been one game though.
You got to put that
Yeah.
caveat in there, right?
The 3-3 at Camp Randall dates all the way back to 1962 when you upset Era Parseghian and Northwestern.
Gotcha. Good history nugget right there. I like
Yeah.
that. So, all right, dude. Well, we appreciate the time, man. Good stuff as always. Enjoy the week, and who knows? Maybe next week we'll be talking about a couple upset wins with Badger, hoops taking down Arizona, and maybe
Yeah.
football taking down Oregon.
I mean, I got my fingers crossed, so let's hope we can have that discussion.
Absolutely, buddy. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Okay, sir.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. RJ Cardinal joining us here this morning. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to wrap things up with some picks and predicts. Will the Bucks win tonight without Damian Lillard in the lineup? That and more after these quick words. Hey, coming up this Saturday, November 16th, starting at 1 p.m., it's the VFW Post 305 parking lot reopening party. They'll be featuring some games, music, and prizes, as well as fried chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, JoJo's Hawaiian rolls, and a pint of domestic beer or soda, all for only $15, $8 for the kiddos. So that's coming up this Saturday, November 16th, at our good friends VFW Post 305. I know it was a Badger segment we did, but I should have known too that Marquette basketball did win last night against Central Michigan. So the 15th ranked Golden Eagles remain 3-0 at the beginning of this season too. So they're over there. I know Badger segment, but Marquette did pick up the win yesterday too. All right, let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place here in Eau Claire. Let's talk some NBA games here. We only got about a minute here to do this. So we've got Atlanta at Boston. Come on, give me Boston. Miami at Detroit. I'll take the Heat. We've got Charlotte at Orlando. Give me my Magic. Knickerbockers taking on the 76ers. I'll go with the Knicks. Phoenix at Utah. Give me the Suns. Mavs at Golden State. That could be a good one. I'm going to go Golden State in this one. Timberwolves taking on the Trailblazers of Portland. Give me the Timberwolves in this game. And then finally, Raptors at Bucks. No Dame. Please make it no problem, Bucks. Please make it no problem. I'll pick the Bucks. I'm still nervous, though. Get this win. This is the stretch of games now. If you're the Bucks, you've got to start winning some back-to-backs. You've got to start putting a stretch together of some wins. Starts tonight against the Raptors. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll have a new episode of the Man Cave podcast up later this morning. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to that wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you haven't yet, give us a solid rating. Please do so so it helps others find the podcast. Brought to you by our good friends at Toyson Ford and Hy-Vee. Have a good day. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Talk to you then.